There is no point doing any experimentation unless you're willing to measure it. A good metric or a good measurement gives you an indication of where you're going, where your team's going, where your experiment is going, and what to do. It helps you make decisions. Now, in the last video, we spoke about hypotheses. Now, hypotheses are really good at setting that scientific standard, telling a story, giving you some insight on where we've been before and why we're doing this experiment. But metrics really help you understand what you're measuring, what success looks like, and what happens in any case of the results of the experiment. Something that we're using at the moment in my team is product metrics. So something that product managers and product owners are very used to using are product metrics. And these product metrics ladder up to the wider business goals. I think it's a really useful way to measure experiments. Product metrics look a little bit like this. So you've got your primary metric, so it's the one thing that you're focused on, the thing that ladders up to the wider company goal. It's the single figure that evidences your impact. Secondary metric, so these are numbers that are good to monitor but are not essential. They might help identify future hypotheses or future experiments and ladder into that primary metric, so they're part of the wider customer journey. And then we've got guardrail or health metrics. So these are the things that might risk some kind of like reputational damage or something that might change the course of the experiment. As I said earlier on, your metric needs to ladder into the wider goals of the company. So for this example, this company really cares about conversions this half. So your experiment, your metric needs to ladder up into conversions. So for this example, we've got emails submitted through the web form. So that's the core of our experiment. So we've got a web form, we're going to change the content or change the structure, probably have a couple of variants, and we're going to see if we can move more people to submit their email through this web form. The secondary metric is percentage of traffic from the homepage to the web form. So this is considering the wider customer experience, the wider journey. Now, it's not the one metric that we're focused on, but it's something we deeply care about because that might help us with future experiments or changes to the journey. So for instance, if this secondary metric went down and that primary metric went up, that might lead us to believe that there might be an issue with getting into that journey rather than the actual change that we've made. So then we'll shift our focus to that secondary metric, that part of the journey next time. Then we've got guardrail or health metrics for this example. So we've got bounce rate and web form. So this is something that really means that we've done something probably pretty wrong and then we need to pull the experiment. So if we find that people are coming from the home page into the web form but they're bouncing like almost immediately, then we know that whatever we've done for our changes made a complete change and we need to change it. As you can see, I've put this on my artboard in Figma, so these are just some examples here, but usually when I set up my Figma page, I'll stick my metric structure next to my hypotheses and maybe some link off to some Notion docs, and then have my variants there. So for future designers or product people who are coming into this experiment with no context, then they get to see the context right there and then, and they get to see that next to the designs. I might have like links off to Notion or Google. But what metrics ultimately matter? So only you, the company, and your team know that, but every company's different. So you might be focused on sales, you might be focused on weekly active users, you might be focused on engagement and so on. Ultimately, your metrics, your experiment needs to ladder up into moving that hypothesis and moving that goal forward. So it's ultimately up to your context. A few things that's probably worth bearing in mind though is ultimately this has got to influence actual user behavior. So if it's a metric that has no consideration of how the user is using something, then you're probably not on to a decent product metric. You probably need to think again. Inversely, it has to tie up to your business goals. I can't stress that enough. There's no point having a metric or measure that does not ladder up into your wider business goals. Cool. If you found that helpful, then please like and subscribe. I do more of these videos. But there we go. Another product design tip for growth design there. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.